Hey everyone, hope you're having a great Monday night. Bringing you a little update on what happened this weekend. I participated in the Chess Network Weekend Rapid on Sunday morning at 9 o'clock Central Time. And I'm just going to walk you through the tournament. I didn't record it live, but yeah, it was pretty good. There were only about 30 people that participated, but I was really pleased with my performance. So I want to take you through my games and just kind of analyze them a little bit with you guys. And yeah, so the first person I played was MC18. I think he finished 7th in the tournament, and I started with E4. He played a Sicilian, and so I went for this open Sicilian, and then I played this like Maroczy bind prince idea. I don't really know the theory. I don't know much behind it. It just says it's an open Sicilian, but I've seen this in hanging pawns. I've seen Jerry from Chess Network do this, so I've seen this in a couple of YouTubers, so I decided to give it a try. He attacks my pawn, so I defend it. He plays a developing move. Also played a developing move. I didn't know really where this dark square bishop belonged, so I just thought to reinforce the center with it. I didn't like this capture here for black because this lets me develop my queen with tempo, so now I have a big center and I have a lead on development on black. So another passive move from black. Fighting for the center. I still have a nice grip on these light squares. Yeah, I'm thinking develop and castle. So this is a weird maneuver that the light squared bishop took. He's trying to gang up on my light squared pawn here, but it's defended twice. So captures, 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 captures. Doesn't quite work, but they're hoping to maybe kick the queen and then maybe take advantage of this later on. So wanting to avoid all that, I defend. And then I go for some queenside expansion, kick his light squared bishop. So this light squared bishop has done this. So gained lots of tempo on that piece, and then I solidify my queen side. This move, I just thought I'd drop back the queen, maybe get some pressure on the dark square diagonal. This was a nice move because now this piece cannot be kicked except by a minor piece. What black doesn't have a pawn, so this is a hole, and it also comes with a tempo. It comes with a tempo on the queen. Queen can't take. So yeah, so black doesn't want to allow that strong knight, so I get to take. I took away from the center. I didn't really want to exchange the rooks. I did not understand this move, so I just moved my rook to an open file, probably what black should have done. So black decides to go for it. I decide to cement this pawn. Here on the B file, it's isolated and it's on a light square. I still have my light square bishop, so cementing a weakness for black. It also gives me a nice tempo on the queen with this move. Everything's well defended. Now my initial idea here was to double up the rooks, but after the exchange and not taking, because I don't want to give him the open rook, or I don't want to give his rook the open file. I'd rather have my rook have the open file. As you see, what happens due to not taking right away, but rather allowing my opponent to capture me. That way I get to keep my major piece on the open file, because this is the only open file on the board. Also, I want to try and play around my 2 versus 1 advantage against this isolated pawn. So he goes for a break in the center. I contest one of his pieces. I think better was this move, hitting the dark square bishop, but it's kind of the same. I'm going to take this either way, and now this is just crushing, I think. Yeah, it has me up 4 here as white. Just really good coordination. I have my bishops aimed to this way, and I have a nice 2-pawn majority here, two connected pass pawns. This was a good move, kind of boxing out my dark squared bishop, but my dark squared bishop holds his pawn push very nicely. So his only pass pawn is pretty well contained, and I don't think he's going to have the backup to beat me in my pushes. So just wanted to develop my king here because I was anticipating this move. and I wanted to hold on to my dark squared bishop. This is a good move. If you want to pause it, I find a nice maneuver here to keep my dark squared bishop. And it's a check. And it's mate because you can't give up here. So this is the only way to save the dark squared bishop, is to find this check. And black has to defend with his dark squared bishop. Now I'm not losing this minor piece. So I push again. Not really a threat because everything's defended. So I just need to get on the open file, make way for a queen. Black tries to give up the exchange. Now he doesn't want to get mated, so he needs a flight square. And at this point, black just resigned once I got the queen on the board. So a really nice game. I was really happy with this one, and I started the game off with a 1-0 lead. So yeah, here's the standings. I ended up taking second. So that was the first game. We'll take you into the second game versus Korrig. 1488. So not as strong a player as me. But still, I had the black pieces, and I went for the Petrov defense. Petrov defense usually is what you play against people that, at least for me, I played against people that I feel are stronger than me. Because you're not necessarily playing for win here, you're playing for a draw. You have a very symmetrical structure. You know, black is just trying to equalize with every move. He's not necessarily pressing for an advantage. Better opening, or a better defense to press for an advantage would be a Sicilian. So this is all theory. You can't capture with the... Oops, excuse me. Just show you the end of the game. You can't capture here because then black has that trick, winning your queen. Or if you try and defend, it's not working, because if you try and defend like this, you're losing. If you try and defend like this, it doesn't work as well, because you can just step up and then you're forced to move again, and then the same thing, you're losing your queen. So yeah, big trick right there. So you have to play this move, and then only can you take back. And then this is all theory. If the queen attacks you, you can't step up here because of this move. So you have to defend with the queen, and then and only then can you step back. Sorry, there's a lot of theory in the Petrov. I know all this and have known it for years. Captures. And so there's a couple little tricks there I just showed you. I might make a different video kind of explaining that a little more in depth, kind of some of the traps white has if black's not careful. But if you know the basic traps, this is a great defense as it equalizes, and white has a really hard time fighting for an advantage. Against good players, you'll draw a lot. Caruana and Magnus Carlsen played this in the last World Championship rounds, and Caruana played this masterfully and was able to draw Magnus Carlsen every time he played it. This didn't bother me. I wanted to. I couldn't find a place for my light squared bishop to go. I never felt like any of these squares. Excuse me. Any of these squares were going to do anything for me. So I felt that Fiend Kedwin was the best. Honestly, to grab his dark squared bishop here was really, really strong for me. Castle. And yeah, here white just blunders a pawn. Now I'm willing to give up the dark square bishop, which I do. So now he has an isolated A pawn, 2 connected a pawn duo on the DNC file, and 3 on the HGF. So he has 3 pawn islands versus my 2. So I am up a pawn and I have the better pawn structure. He castles. I develop my knight. In retrospect, maybe this was a better square because then I can jump in here, but I thought after he kicks me, what's the point? So let's defend the knight and maybe bounce up in here, bounce around, take advantage of some of these holes, some holes that white has in the position maybe after a couple pushes. Why did I play this move? For some reason I was worried about check, takes, and takes with a tempo on my rook, and I didn't want to lose the light squared bishop. although this looks fine. Takes, and here. I didn't want him to keep his light squared bishop for give his knight up essentially to win my dark squared bishop. So I just played this as a preventative move. That way, if he plays this, he's just losing his knight, right? And then only once I have the opportunity to exchange light squared bishops, I feel comfortable to do so. Now this piece kind of looks like a dummy, so I don't move that piece. I'm pretty sure I wanted to move that piece. But this move seems okay too, grabbing a little space on the king side. I no longer fear this light squared diagonal opening up to my king because I just traded light squared bishops. So he attacks my pawn twice. Now this dummy over here slides over to a better file. I have a couple of exchanges in the middle. Now this knight I have created. Really, I don't like this move from white. It creates a nice hole here, and then capturing here I feel is no good because it creates. Now he's got 3 pawn islands. I have 3 as well, but these 3 are going to be so strong, and I'm just up more pawns. Yeah, so I double, and now, yeah, he just trades the whole farm, and I have a winning position. I have 3 versus 2 over here, and I'm easily able to convert this. It's not quite so simple. This move's important as it bars off the king from ever. I mean, the king's barred off too, but eventually I want to work my king up here, try and, you know, maybe come up, snag some pawns, and so I want to be able to seal the king off from ever infiltrating. I was nervous here with these moves as I didn't want the king to cut me. I didn't want the rook to cut me off. Yeah, but as soon as he offered me this rook trade, I took it purely because I know that I'm winning because he has to capture. That means I can get over here and I can scoop up these pawns. There's nothing he can do to stop me, and he's not going to be able to march clear to a7 in the time it's going to take me to get to h3. So he tries, but this is just clearly winning. Push my pawn, easily queen. Yeah, capture him there. Now I have 1 queen, and then I just very slowly ladder mated him. Probably a cleaner way to do it, but I had lots of time, so it's always fun to end with 2 queens on the board. If your opponent's going to play to the bitter end, I make them suffer just a little bit. So yeah, started off hot, 2-0, very nice. And then I played Bojo 13, and Bojo 13 had an incredible tournament. Played well above his rating in my opinion. While the game loads, he actually had a chance to take second in the tournament had he won his last game against the first place player. So I had white in this game, and as you guys know, I'm an e4 player, so it goes e4, and now he plays king's pawn against me, and so I went with what I'm comfortable with, the Vienna. And he plays this symmetrical variation where he's copying me, and I feel like this is very bad for black. You need to know what you're doing, because after this move, white has a bunch of serious threats. First of all, you're hanging this pawn, and I think he plays a very nice move here, but it still gives white an advantage. I want to see what the computer says. Yeah, not much, the max laying defense, the Vienna game, but there's a lot that white can do here that if black's not careful, it's going to be tricky because the knight's going to jump in here to the middle, and you got this nice fork. So the queen's kind of tied down. It's really hard to activate the queen. And I didn't want to necessarily give up this exchange right away, so I pinned his knight to the queen, with the intent that if he takes here or here, I'll take the queen, and now he can't capture back with this piece because then I would fork here, winning the rook, and so I'm going to force him to go uncastled the rest of the game. And I felt like that was worth losing a pawn. If he captured the knight, he's not winning a pawn because captures with the tempo on the knight. So I think taking the pawn here is the best choice for black. And yeah, he sees it. He doesn't take with the knight, allowing this fork. But still, black has the lead on development, but black's king is also trapped in the center, and I'm going to hit the knight here soon and start bringing out my other pieces and have a nice attack on his king. Oh, I guess it's glad that I'm looking at this now. This move looks funny, but he actually has a ton of pressure on me right here. So this move would have been actually a blunder, as he could have checked me or won another pawn and had a tempo on my rook, which would have denied me access to castling kingside. So I have to defend. Now I hit the knight. This is also a good move because it shatters my pawn structure. So now he's up a pawn and he shattered my pawn structure on the king side. So black had a lot of compensation for this. Black being unable to castle move here. And ultimately he gets to win that other pawn. But you know, I make a move here that in the moment maybe it's not the best. Yeah, the computer is saying he should have moved the knight, but he didn't move the knight. So I just pulled the trigger here and I captured, and I wanted to take these two minor pieces off the board because now it leaves him with two. He basically has a rook for these two pieces. And, excuse me, for my bishop pair. I have a bishop pair for his extra rook. But I have a lead in development. This guy's going to develop easily. This guy's going to slide over easily. I felt like this was worth it. I'm also down 2 pawns, so I'm really not in a winning position, but it's not so clear that black has a better position, and I think it's easier to play here as black, but he's gonna have a hard time dealing with all my minor pieces, especially since he's so extended and he's not going to have safety castling. So he stops this check. This check would have been better inserted first and then capturing, probably. Yeah, because I have to develop this piece, and I don't get to develop it with tempo. That's why playing it on this move would have been so much better, because then after king moves, it's probably not the best place. Where is the best place for the king to move? Yeah, here, further cementing the rook. Now you take the exchange. So, yeah, computer always knows best, right? So I'm forced to play this kind of waiting move because I want to activate the rook, hit some of these pawns. This is a nice move because I didn't want him to push. I wanted to break it open and have an open file. Forced to retreat my bishop. Now he's winning my bishop if he wants. I don't want to. This move seems silly. This is defended. Oh, because I was thinking if captures, then I have a nice little attack going. And now they're able to pick up this pawn. First he boots the knight. Boots the knight again. And I thought I might be getting trapped. If I go here and the king steps up, I mean, I don't have any moves. Everything's defended. So I kind of have to play passive here with my knight. Same thing. I thought maybe I'm getting trapped again, but then after coming up here, you know, I'm finding a way out. So, no traps. Finally he takes, and now this move makes sense. I gave up the light squared bishop, and I have yet again another doubled set of pawns, but I have the semi-open file for my rook to play on. His rooks still have not moved. So he pressures my knight again. He pushes. I challenge it immediately. So now I've doubled his pawns. I get to activate my bishop, pinning this this pawn to the king. So he sees it. He doesn't want to give me that pawn for free, so he defends. I gang up on it, and then he played this move, and I took a lot of time on this move because this was really difficult to play. If you just capture the pawn, he's hitting me with check. And after king moves, he's gobbling up this pawn with tempo on my dark squared bishop, and this dark squared bishop doesn't have all that many moves. I could play here, and after he plays here, it's like, well, what do I do? He's gonna win this pawn, and then he's gonna march these pawns to victory. So ultimately, you know, I decided to go all in. I took the pawn and forced the king to move. and then I checked the king again, and then right here I was just kind of stuck. I didn't know what to do. So I figured, you know, trade out and bank on winning with the 2 minor pieces. So I did this just that because now I've won 2 pawns. I've won back my 2 pawns, and I get a defender on my B pawn. So now this doesn't scare me as much. If he checks me, I'm able to step up, and I'm losing the H pawn, but it's still not clear. I think honestly this is good because I step up, and then he takes here, and then yeah, well, I'm taking here, and he's winning this pawn with a temple. It's just ugly. Let's see. I bet the computer says to play this move. Yeah. Oh, but then I can defend, and then he's gonna push. Yeah, it's gonna get ugly. Unclear. A lot of good moves need to be played. But he played this move, trying to just hit the pawn. But this was kind of a nice consolidating move. I didn't have to worry about him ever breaking through. I just have a lot of control here. He's got no way to move my pieces, and I gobble this pawn up for free. Yeah, now I've got the runner. He's going to have a devil of a time stopping him. My king is so much more active. I've kind of got his king walled off. He's kind of have to come this way. Seal this up and walk in the park. At this point, he just resigned. He also only had 4 seconds left. Took a lot of thinking, but black's cooked here. Yep. So another nice game. So I went 3-0. I was feeling really, really hot. Yeah, you can see Bojo ended up finishing 4th. So a really nice player. Excuse me. So now I played Shulgi, and this is the only game I thought that I didn't play well. This guy was a nice player, 1956. He went on to win the tournament, played at a 2200 rating, 2000 rating, so I was very impressed. So we get another Sicilian, and I went straight for this light squared clamp, and he played this move, which I'd never seen before, and I didn't want to just defend because now he has a target to pile up on. So because he just moved the bishop, I decided to place him under attack, so now he has to waste a turn with his bishop. And he decided to play this move. So I captured with the king, and here comes the queen check, and then I played this move to e3, which is fine, and he develops his other knight. So I know that I'm in serious trouble here. Here I should have just played this move. But instead I developed my knight, so he doesn't get this check. Alright, so, I mean, actually I think this move's okay. After he plays this move, I blunder terribly. If you want to pause this position, black is losing considerably with correct play. But king has 5 moves that he can make. I mean, capturing is no good, so only one of them is good. Pause it and see if you can find out. Okay, I hope you're back with me. This is the only good move. Excuse me. No, I was correct. I don't know why the computer's changing its mind. It's the only good move. It's the only way that white's winning. What I played in the game leads to mate in 2, which of course he saw, and he mated me. That was the game. Yeah, so I fell for this trap. Honestly, I thought for maybe a minute here too. I just didn't think long enough. I completely missed this move. I was scared of playing this and then having to run up, but actually this is fine because after he plays this move, you get to pin the knight to the queen. Queen has to retreat, and you don't hang your rook, and then black has to play something, and then the king's running to safety, and you're going to be able to be fine here as white. And it's not fun to play. It's a lot of traps, a lot of tricks, but in a rapid game with lots of time to think, I definitely could have done better than getting mated in 11 moves. So a very poor game, not one I want to dwell on. I think traps like that are going to happen, and I just played a little bit too quickly. That guy won every game he played, so congrats to Shogi, a definite winner. Yeah, performance of 22-25, so definitely played well and above his rating. But yeah, we'll look at my last game. So through 4 games, I was 3-0, and then I played this guy, Horrors, and Horrors was rated 2,000, and I knew I was close to the top of the tournament, so I was really feeling this one. And he was a good player. He'd lost to Bojo, which I knew that I'd beaten Bojo, and I knew a draw would be good for me here in the tournament. I knew I couldn't beat Shogi, because Shogi had 4 points already, and even if I won this, I would have had 4, and since he beat me, he had his tiebreaker. But I played the Sicilian here. I wanted to play for a win. Wanted to mix it up. I played the Taimanov. It's calling it the French variation, but Mark Taimanov played this a lot. This is the Khan variation with A6. Just preparing a nice square for my queen. So hitting the pawn. He also goes for kind of this like Maroxy bind position, and he basically promotes this light squared bishop to a big pawn. It was interesting. So I kicked the knight right away, and then I was able to develop my knight as a defender of this pawn, so I was very pleased with that. I got my other knight in the game, and then, yeah, sorry, don't know why I still have the computer moves on. Yeah, the computer was dying for me to play that move, and eventually I did, as this dark squared bishop's really nice, eyeing the king. We had some trades in the middle, and then I jump in with my knight. I solidified. I exchanged all these pieces, as I feel like I'm a good end game player, and I also wanted to avoid any tactics, as I felt my opponent was much stronger than me, and so finding these checks I felt was fine. The position's quite stable. Black has a nice, I also wasn't castled, and so having all these minor pieces on the board made me kind of nervous. So after all these exchanges, I'm able to castle. White has a lead in development, but my bishop is quite good. I expand. I want to reduce the scope of his light square bishop, and then hit a tempo on the queen. I also want to maybe expand here with my rook. This move was important, as it takes away this square from checking the king, especially if he were able to open this up at all. I don't know how he would quite go about that, but he has an attacker on the only pawn that I have stopping the d6 push. And then, yeah, he played this sacrifice, and he took it. And the best move here is to put the queen here and give up the pawn. This is what I was wishing I would have played in the game. Then something like this. And then this. And then it's just unclear. This scared me so much. Even though I have 1, 2, 3 attackers on it. Maybe, oh, whoops. Maybe striking here. I mean, this is opening up and not looking good for white, but this position scared me, and yeah, I had 5 minutes on the clock, so I could have thought more about this, but at this point I'd already played over an hour and a half of chess, and yeah, he offered me a draw. He just kept checking me, and because it was unclear and I wasn't sure, the computer has me winning here, but it's not by much. I mean, it's actually up 2. Why? Oh, it says the best move is just to trade. And then after captures, I'm just up a minor piece. Oh, I don't think a human would play that move. This looks natural to a human. Yeah, because this isn't scaring you, is it? Yeah, see what? This move? I would never play this move. Just wants to support the pawns as they push. Yeah, that's pretty scary. He's about to queen. Yeah, see, this doesn't feel winning to me. I mean, maybe with really precise play, but he's one square away from queening. And even though I have it covered a bunch, I just wasn't comfortable with it. So ultimately, I accepted the draw, and yeah, I took second. So I was very, very pleased with this tournament. It said my performance was 1935, which is very nice because my peak rating is maybe, let's see, what am I rated? 1804 in this, and so my peak rating I think is 1812. At least in rapid. I think in blitz it's 1750 or something like that. So I was very, very pleased with my performance here. Shout out to Jerry at Chess Network for hosting these weekend tournaments, and to everyone that participated. We had maybe 10 or 20 that were really playing. Then yeah, a couple people here. Let's go back there. Yeah, 5 people lost their first game and then just quit. So really there were only 10 of us that were really playing. 9 of us that were really playing. But yeah, these top 8 were really tough, and I feel like every game I won was really good. This Bojo player was really strong, much higher than his rating, I would assume. Yeah, Horrors did not play well. He had a rough weekend, but Shulgi played at a 22-25, and I had a winning position on the board against him. I just needed to play it a little bit slower and not fall into a trap. With correct play, I probably had a winning game. So thanks for tuning in, guys. I hope you enjoyed this little analysis. I wish I would have streamed it live. I tried to stream the last one I participated in live, but it ended up freezing my computer, and I don't know what's going on. So I have to mess with a couple settings, make sure that they're not too high, and hopefully you'll get to see me playing one of these live. It's been a lot of fun. So nice silver medal over the weekend. Nice little way to wake up and start Valentine's. So yeah, Standard Stallion is the account that I've been playing on the most, but I'll probably make an Alpha Chess account here soon in the future. So like, subscribe, and comment below. You don't have to worry about turning on the bell, because I don't know. Watch my videos if you want to, don't if you don't. So thanks for tuning in, guys, and we'll catch you in the next video.